Hello, welcome to Diaries of a Lady. On today's video, I'm going to talk about how I got hired at the hospital as a switchboard operator, to how I left the hospital to starting up a company, a she consulting company with a colleague that I had met at the hospital, to parting ways with her after she screwed me over and started up a new company, to working with a South African company where I was a 51% shareholder, after having helped them to get the ban lifted, to now start operating again in Botswana, to how I parted ways with them, and to the current affairs now of how I, moved on to be 100% citizen-owned company, citizen woman-owned company. Okay, now let's backtrack back to the hospital. So yes, I was hired at the hospital to be a switchboard operator. I was a switchboard operator for a couple of months. I got called in by the management to, they offered me a spot at the marketing department. It wasn't a promotion or anything like that, but it was a nice change for me. Naturally, I love marketing, so I was happy about that. So I was moved to the marketing department, and little did I know that when I got moved from the marketing department, that is where I think that is where somehow I met with my destiny. After a week after I got appointed as a marketing officer at the hospital, there are periodical medicals that different companies undergo, and at that time, Debswana executive management were to come and do the periodic medicals, and I was tasked with basically babysitting them, right from the time they got to the door of the hospital until they left the hospital. I was supposed to escort them and keep them company. And that is how it went. I met all these powerful people. One that stood out to me the most was Makana Imba Sinai. At that time, she was working for Debswana at the time, and when I looked at her, I thought, oh my God, I wonder what it takes to be a woman of that stature. I really admired her, and in my heart, I just wished that I could find myself working with her or learning from her at the very least. And that was that. We did the medicals with all the Debswana executives. They were happy, and that was that. Shortly afterwards, my marketing manager, I don't know, she was not happy about the fact that I was tasked with escorting the Debswana management, because that is something that she had been doing over the years. So for somebody to just come in and be told to take over from her, I don't think it sat well with her, because right afterwards our relationship soured. I started getting letters, insubordination letters and all of that, until finally it got so hot that it was either I resign or I get fired. So I was not about to get fired, so I put in my resignation. And but before I put in my resignation, remember I mentioned that I met a colleague still at the private hospital. The lady had a company. She was a she consultant. So she stepped up to me and asked if I could partner up with her to see how we could grow the she consulting company. And at that time I knew nothing about she, so I went, I did a bit of research, and I thought, but she is safety, health and environment. it is something that is very important, be it in any country, in any profession. So I thought, no, this is something worthwhile. So even when I resigned from the hospital, I had a plan. So my plan was, okay, I'll resign from the hospital and I will jump in at this opportunity to work with this lady and see how we could grow the company. And that it was. I left the bank end of 2014. Sorry, not the bank. I left the hospital at the end of 2014. So 2015, we had we had this company of which she was a 40%, of which she was a 60% shareholder, and I got 40% shareholding. She took care of the admin, I took care of the marketing. I was the lady on the ground. So it went wonderfully. I mean, I remember our first paycheck, we had to figure out how we could create a bit of income. So what we did was because we both worked at the hospital and we had access to these to doctors. What we then did was we came up with a radio program of which way we would invite different specialists to a radio station to come and talk about the medical profession, be it a cardiologist, gynecologist, urologist, and so forth. And it kind of took off. We got a sponsorship partner, and we were able to air the program on radio, and that really was what helped us to take off. That was our biggest paycheck. I think it was about 75,000, and we were able to get a nice office and start attending. We're able to start attending. What do you call them? Mining exhibitions. That was a door to meet possible partners or clients. So I remember we attended Electromining Botswana. I think it was 2015. Yeah, 2015. We attended Electromining Botswana, and that is where we actually met our customers. Things it was good for some time. It was good for some time until I think she got to a place where she felt that I was irrelevant. I remember there was a time she asked me where I think I'd be if it wasn't for her, and she literally asked me, "What do you know about she?" So what she did, she went and registered a competing company behind my back. So what I used to do was I would go to sites, I would get leads, and then I would forward them to her to say, okay, please follow up on those leads. So what she did was, instead of contacting the leads with our company, she used her company to get business from that. And I found out, and she was not even remorseful about it, and she told me, you know what, just because I'm your partner, it doesn't mean that I can't register or have another company. I tried to reason with her to say, look, we have a she consulting company. You can't go and register another she consulting company on your own. But she showed no remorse, and so we parted ways. And there I was again. I thought, okay, now what? I carried on doing the she consulting for some time until I went to South Africa for a mining expo, and that is where I met the company that really played a very pivotal role in my mining career, because now I shifted from just being a she consultant to now specializing in dust suppression. The company was a pioneer of dust suppression, so they offered me a position. I've been through the most. So how I got with the company pioneered dust suppression in Botswana, I think around the year 2009. And at that time, I had no idea. They didn't know me, I didn't know them. So they started dust suppression here in Botswana. And fast forward, in 2013, they got banished. They got banished because they wouldn't, they didn't want to give brown envelopes to, you know how it is out there. People want brown envelopes, and if you don't give, well, you know what happens. So yeah, unfortunately for them, and fortunately for me, they got banished. Never to do business in Botswana. So they packed up everything and went back to South Africa. So I met them in 2015, and in 2015, that's when they told me that situation and asked me if I could help them get back into Botswana, help them get business into Botswana and lift the ban. So I asked them, okay, but what's in it for me? Why should I leave everything that I'm doing and, attend to your matters? So they offered to pay me, and I kindly declined. I told them, no, I don't want money. If I do manage to get this ban lifted, I want 10% of the company. I think they didn't really think that I could do it. So they said, okay, fine. If you do manage to get the ban lifted, we will give you 10% of the company. And sure enough, I started digging to find out why they got banished, and if at all it was a legitimate decision to ban them from doing business in Botswana. As I dug deeper, I got to find out that it was completely unfair how they got banished out of the country. They got banished because somebody who at the time was sitting at very high places, he was a minister of environment at the time, and he wanted shares in the company, and the company would not give shares, and he wrote a letter to one of the mines, if not all, to say they must ban the company, the dust suppression company, with immediate effect because their products are not environmentally friendly, which was not the case. He did that because, he was in power. He was the minister at the time, and his brother was the president, so nobody could touch him. So I thought, thinking about this, it reminds me of David. That minister was my Goliath. Okay, so I had to decide: am I going to shrink back, or am I going to pursue this? And I thought, I have God on my side. Definitely, I'm going to pursue this. God is my protector. I remember while I was still pursuing the whole getting the ban lifted, one senior captain of industry, the mining industry, who also acts as my mentor, he tried to get me to let this thing go, because he said to me, Horata, maybe you should just let this thing go, because it can get very dangerous for you. The kind of people that you are dealing with, maybe just let it go. But I couldn't. I knew that I felt that this is my destiny. It might not be my destiny, but it is connected to where I want to go. So I just said to him, to be nice and polite, I said, okay, I'm going to let it go. But I did not let it go. I could not let it go. So fast forward 2019, the president, his brother, he stepped down. And I thought, this is my chance to go and ask for help at the office of the president. Brilliant. So I actually had no idea how I could get access to anybody at the office of the president. So what I did at the time, we had a minister of youth. His name was Honorable Thapelo Lopeng. I didn't know him at the time, and I felt that he could be my only hope. So I went to the Ministry of Youth. When I got there, I asked if I could see the minister. They said to me, no, the minister is busy. Try some other time. And as I left the building, I felt so deflated, thinking, okay, what am I gonna do? And then, just as I stepped outside, I saw this shiny BMW. The driver was busy polishing it, and it was sparkling. So I went over to the driver and I asked him, "Is this the minister's car?" He said, "Yes." I said to him, "Is this the car that is going to take the minister home?" And he says, "Yes." And I think the time around then was around quarter past four in the afternoon. So I asked the driver, "Would you mind if I sat here and waited for the minister, because I tried to see him and it's quite urgent, but they say I can't see him." And he said, "No problem. You can sit and wait for him. We don't know if he'll talk to you, but you can try." So there I was. I sat there, and 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 6:30, around 25 to 7. I saw a car pull up, and it was a lady. She went in through the back door, and I thought, okay, who's that? The driver told me, "No, that's the minister's daughter." I was like, oh my God, this is going to be a long wait. And remember, it was so windy. I remember I had my lip gloss on, and the dust, I could literally taste the soil particles in my mouth. But I persevered. I sat there. Finally, around 7:15, 7:30 in the evening, the minister came out, and he looked so drained. I had compiled a document, everything about this dust suppression issue. I had compiled a document together, and as soon as the minister stepped out and he was trying to get in his car, I said to him, I introduced myself, and I told him that, look, this is who I am, and this is an opportunity that I stand to get as a young person. Please have a look at these documents and help me. I need a meeting at the office of the president. And then he took with nothing showing, no emotion showing. So I didn't know if he was going to help me, if he was interested or what. So he just took the document and got in the car and left, and I left as well. Later that evening, I received a call, and it was the Ministry of Youth's Tapelolo Bing's secretary. He said, "Okay, you can come and see the minister. Be at his office at 6:30 in the morning." It's like, brilliant. There I was. I went to see the minister 6:30. I was at his office, and there the minister was, and I explained the whole situation, and he said funny enough, he knew something about that issue, the dust suppression issue. So he said, "Look, I'll organize a meeting with you at the office of the president with the vice president. That is as far as I can go. When you get there, you will do the talking." It's like, "Thank you very much, Mr. Minister. That is all I need." And true to his word, he organized a meeting for me with the vice president. I went to see the vice president. I laid it out to him exactly how it was, and they called God really, when God is in it, it's always great when God is in it. So at the time, the Minister of Health, the Minister of Environment that banished the dust suppression company, he stepped down from the Ministry of Environment, and they put back on another minister. And this minister that they had put on at the Ministry of Environment, he knew about this dust suppression issue, because while he was the minister all those years ago, he knew about all of this. So now when he came back, he found that, okay, here's this young lady, she's talking about this, and I know about this issue. Long story short, the ban got lifted. The ban got lifted in 2019. That is when the ban got lifted, and the company now was able to operate in Botswana, and I got my 10% shareholding. So now, which meant that I had to now start going to the mines and rewriting the wrongs and explaining how, everything about the dust suppression issue. So it was tough, but God was with me. I remember, I remember when I was still trying to get the ban lifted, the guys in South Africa told me, you know what, if you manage to get this ban lifted, you will never be broke another day in your life. I think that was mostly the motivating factor for me. But yes, after the ban got lifted, I tried to get business. I tried to get the company back into the mines, and only in 2022, I managed to get my first contract. It was a 1-year contract to do dust suppression at one of our big mines here in Botswana, and yeah, it was quite something, because right in the middle of that project, that's when the Ukraine and Russia war broke out, and everything just got so expensive, and yeah, it was quite a nightmare. But I had that contract with one of the mines. I managed to secure another contract with one of the mines. I managed to secure another one. So I managed to get these dust suppression guys back into 3 mines, operational back into 3 mines in Botswana. It was lovely. I was happy. I learned a lot. I was quite, as time went on, I started to sense that because what I wanted for this dust suppression company, it was a multinational company. So what I had wanted to see I wanted a Botswana presence. I wanted this company to set up a company, like set up a physical company in Botswana and have all of the operations going on controlled from Botswana, because at the time everything was controlled from South Africa, because there was no money, there was no business. So now that I had managed to get the business, I expected to see now a Botswana presence. But to my disappointment, I quickly noticed that it was never their intention to give anything back to Botswana, a country in which they were operating and getting money from. And that didn't sit well with me, because my thing is to empower our citizens, and meaningful participation. I want to make an impact. I wanted to make an impact, and I couldn't really make much of an impact when everything was controlled from South Africa. So I was with that company for 7 years, and I finally decided, you know what, this is not going to work. This is not going to work for me. I want a Botswana company. So what I did, I parted ways with that company. I left. 7 years, I let it go, and I walked away with literally nothing. And I had to start from scratch. Now, the company that I have, I parted ways with this company last year, May. And I resuscitated my company, and the company is called LC Mining Consumables. And in this LC Mining Consumables, I still offer dust suppression solutions. I'm an authorized distributor of Bosch Rexroth and Makaferi, as well as Dust Act. So that is a journey that is the journey that I'm currently on at the moment. And when I finally decided to go on my own, the Spirit of the Lord said to me, Zech 4:10, He said, "Despise not the day of small beginnings, for the Lord rejoices to see the work begin." That is and that was and has been my anchor for this company. Things are not easy, but with God, all things are possible, and at His time, all things are beautiful. So I'm so glad that I managed to summarize everything to now current affairs. So here we are now. After all those things that happened to me, here I am now. I am the managing director of LC Mining Consumables, 100% citizen woman-owned company. I'm very proud. I'm very proud of that because this company lives off faith. This company is the Lord's company, and I think I owe it to you to say to explain what Diaries of His Lady, what is that all about? The reason why I called this YouTube channel Diaries of His Lady is I see myself as the Lord's. I see myself as His. He planted me into the mining industry with no mining qualification, no mining background. He planted me here. And to see and look at what he has been able to do, it's just amazing. And I can see that he has a plan for my life. And I always say to him that, God, I don't know what you're up to, but I'm here for it. I'm here for all of it. So I will tell you right now, I'm the managing director of LC Mining Consumables. I am the deputy chairperson of WIMBO. WIMBO is Women in Mining Botswana organization, an NGO that was registered to empower and advocate for women's inclusion in the mining industry. And sometimes I think I've had, the reason why I've had so much resistance is for this same cause, to be able to fight and advocate for women's inclusion, not just in the mining industry, but every male-dominated industry. That is my passion, and that is why I'm a WIMBO deputy chairperson to do this. And once women are included, meaningful participation, then I will say my work is done. You see, this is not just for me, but it's for every woman that will say, I want to register a company, or I want to register a company. They should be at rest knowing that they have a fair chance. They have a fair chance of actually getting work. Because as women, we don't have the luxury of, meeting procurement people at golf courses or shooting ranges or wherever. As women, at the end of the day, we have to go home to take care of the kids, to take care of the families. We can't stay out until 2 o'clock like men are able to do and network. So what will help us? We need policies in place. We need frameworks in place that speak for us when we are not in the room, that speak for us in procurement processes. Gender responsive procurement. That is now what I'm working about. That is what consumes me. That gives me, that makes me want to get up in the morning to go and fight for gender responsive procurement. What is gender responsive procurement, you might ask yourself? It simply is integrating the consideration of women into procurement processes. How can this be done? It can be done through policies, frameworks integrated into existing procurement policies, or existing procurement policies that speaks to the intentional inclusion of women and meaningful participation. Well, with that, I will say thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for subscribing, all 61 of you. Thank you so much, and see you next time. And please subscribe, share, and like. Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your day. Love you loads.